Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. Yes, in this week's video we're going to go over exactly how we level our caravan when we get to site. Now when we were last away, I thought I'd just chuck a camera down and just film the process that we go through. Now I know this isn't going to be for everybody. Like I say, there's lots of different sort of methods to actually get the caravan in location and the tools that you use to get it level, but I thought I'd just demonstrate exactly how we go about it. So before we get cracking, I thought I'd just give you some information about the importance of knowing how to level a caravan. When we first started, we went off, got our first caravan, took it down the local field, chucked it in place, and then went about sort of trying to level it up. And the first thing I did was get the drill, get the extension bit, and start using the steadies to actually try to achieve that. Now, knowing what I know now, obviously completely the wrong way to go about it. I was there for about half an hour trying to work out what was going on, why it wasn't so simple, and I was sort of going around each steady, sort of extending it, retracting it, and so forth, shouting to Louise about, oh, is it level, isn't it? And all I ended up doing was actually, after about half an hour of messing about, I've got to the stage where it actually started to lock, and actually when I went to use the drill again, it actually then bit and the drill flew round and actually ended up hitting me in the side of the face, which sort of woke me up. And again, I've seen a few different examples of people doing this on the forums where again they just not really thought about actually what the proper process is, and ended up with sort of black eyes, cut noses. So again, it's definitely worth spending sort of 10-15 minutes at different videos just working out exactly the different methods to achieve this and just seeing which one works for you. Now when it comes to different leveling tools, you probably would have seen one of these before, or sort of people talking about these on the forums. And obviously you're supposed to be able to put this on a flat surface, and then you've got your two readings. So you've obviously got some side to side and front to back. So when you lay that flat on the floor or on a work surface, again you're then able to sort of raise either side or front and back, and then obviously once they're in the middle, obviously it tells you that you've got a flat surface. Now they're okay, but again, depending on where you place this, you could be going back and forth a lot in terms of when you're making the alterations outside. Now the whole process is definitely a lot easier with two people, but again, totally fine with one if that's all you, or if it's only you actually trying to achieve this. We don't use one of these. We started off with one of these but found these quite annoying, so we just sort of switched to a normal little level, and I'll show you where we place that in a minute. And all I do is I keep that in the door of the caravan at all times, so again I know where it is when we go to set up each time. So when it actually comes to lowering and raising the steadies, you've got two options. Obviously you can get a connection that obviously you wind by hand, and obviously the reassurance you've got there is obviously, as long as you've got that with you, you've got no issues of actually achieving that. Now the route that we take is an adapter onto a drill, and all we do is just make sure that the drill battery is obviously charged before we go, but it's probably always best to have both options just in case of the scenario that you fall into. So again, if your battery goes flat or for whatever reason something happens, you've always got another method to lower those back down so you can carry on your travels. Rightio, so yes, let's get cracking. Let's get on with the video and show you exactly how we go about this. So what I normally do is actually turn up to the pitch, get it roughly where the caravan's going to go, and then I'll use the motor mover to actually get it into its final destination. Now I use the motor mover on the basis that it's a lot easier than trying to reverse it onto the pitch, and also I'm going to need the motor mover in terms of actually leveling the caravan a bit later on, because 9 times out of 10 the pitches are never flat unless you get lucky. So with that, I'll use the motor mover just to go up and down the ramp to get it into its final position. Now I will stress, obviously, you shouldn't 100% rely on your motor mover in terms of, you should always practice being able to reverse it, but again it comes with sort of practice over time. But for me, I just find it 9 times out of 10 a lot easier just to use the motor mover and get it into its position. So when I start off this process, I'll work from left to right to start with, and obviously place it onto the worktop, and I'm just looking here roughly where the bubble is, and then I'll move obviously the ramp into position depending on what side it needs to actually go. And also the caravan is slightly
back from where I need it to be on the basis that I've looked to see it needs to still go forwards, probably by half a foot. So now I'll just slowly move it forwards until the actual bubble is where it needs to be. But what you need to be mindful of is if you've got an Alco wheel lock, you will need to be careful about the positioning. So again, if you want to attach that, you're going to need to sort of work out where this needs to go in terms of that wheel positioning. So it may take you a couple of attempts to actually get that spot on. Otherwise, what will happen is obviously you'll keep moving it, and either you'll go too high or too low, and the caravan won't be level. So again, you may just need to play with this a little bit. Now with the side to side in its like proper location, you can now look at going front to back, and it's just a simple process of actually using the jockey wheel and actually slowly wind this up. And all I've done is move the spirit level from the side of the counter to the side of the caravan door, and I'm just asking Louise just to spot in now in terms of where it needs to be in its final position. And again, like you say, it's always helps having two people, but if not, like you say, it's simple just to have the one person and just move backwards and forwards. But like I say, this is the second position in terms of where I'm looking to get the caravan level. So with the caravan now level, obviously it's just a case of going around and lowering the steadies on the four corners. Now it's up to you if you put blocks down underneath the steadies. It really depends on the state of the ground underneath, if it's waterlogged or if you believe it needs it or not. In this case, I'm just bringing them down because I'm quite happy with how firm the ground is. And then once the steadies are down, you should be good to go.
So as I mentioned before, this is just about how we go about leveling our van. So if you've got any other tips and tricks that will help others, please just drop a comment in the description below. That's it for this week's video. Hopefully it's given you a good idea exactly how to level a caravan if you're just starting out. And that's the whole idea of the content that we create, is just making sure that when you do get to site, you have all these sort of little tips and tricks and know exactly what you're doing for that initial setup. Nothing worse than sort of trying to achieve this on your own or your partner for the first time actually on site, and all that happens is you end up shouting at each other. So yeah, been there, done that. So yeah, really recommend sort of taking the time to look through the different content that we've got. As always, if you found it useful, if you want to give that a like, give it a share, and consider subscribing to the channel, that will be great. If not, I will see you all on the next one. Cheers everyone.